Hi everybody, welcome back to VoxRes and welcome back to another video. So those of you that have been following the series so far will remember that back in March 2019 I bought a 2007 Vauxhall Astra 1.6 twin port twin top convertible. Bought it as a project car with a known rattle in the engine that I thought was going to be something quite simple. Thought it was going to be tappets. Then later on thought it might be something rattling in the inlet manifold. If you're interested in seeing all the work that we did to the Astra, taking the inlet manifolds off, checking the valve clearances, resealing the manifolds, etc, etc, feel free to look back through the playlist because they're all there with details of how we did it all. But it hasn't turned out to be any of those. Now, when I took it for MOT, I did have a word with the mechanic and he reckoned it sounded like the bottom end. Which is basically the block, something in the block pistons. I must admit I was a little bit sceptical because it sounds very much like it's at the top end of the engine, sort of around the throttle body area. But anyway, I've done a few checks and this is what I found. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I've removed all spark plugs. Didn't show you doing that again because you've seen it enough times now. What we're testing for is any play in the connecting rods, so the wrist pin or little end bearings or the big end bearings at the bottom. And I think I found the problem with this engine, so just show how this works. So number one cylinder is this end, place a long screwdriver in it, and then I'm going to crank the engine over by hand. It's quite easy because all the spark plugs are out, till number one is right at the top dead centre, so we can see by the screwdriver coming up. It's nearly there. So it's just stopped moving now, it's just stopped coming up. So I'm just going to let it drop down a tiny little bit. It just starts dropping down. There it goes. I don't know if you can see that on camera because it's just a small amount. Let it drop down by 2 or 3 millimeters. And then we get the screwdriver and we listen very carefully and we feel with the screwdriver and we just give it a little push on top and you can feel there's no play in there at all. So repeat the exercise on cylinder number 2. So we wind the engine over till it reaches top dead centre. It's nearly there. That's about it. It's stopped moving. Just let it come down a little bit. 3 or 4 millimeters down. Same procedure. Screwdriver in the top of the piston in the centre. Little bit of a noise on that. I hadn't spotted that one before. But the biggie was number 3. Wind him down all the way back up again. Stop moving. Dropping a little bit. More. I don't know if you can hear this, but I can certainly hear it and feel it off camera. Distinct click on that one. So there's a little bit of play in the linkage there, somewhere between the top of the piston and the crankshaft. Do it once more, just to confirm. So all the way back up to the top. Let it start dropping. Did you hear that click? That clunk? Let's just try number 4. Now I'm pretty sure that one's okay. It's just dropping now. Screwdriver in the centre. Nothing. I'm going to check number 2 again because I hadn't felt that when I was doing this off camera, but I just felt a little bit of play in that one, I think. So give him another go. Top dead centre. Starting to go down. No, I didn't feel anything that time. Number 3, certainly back up. Top dead centre. Starting to go down. That's our problem. The rattling wasn't an easy fix. The inlet manifold, it wasn't an easy fix. The cam shafts, bolts on the bearing caps on the camshafts loosening. Unfortunately, it's a internal problem with the engine. I have priced it all up to do this job, and it's just as cheap to probably buy another engine and just drop it in, and obviously a lot less work. So I think I might do that. I'm going to do some more investigation and see if you can work on these engines, get the pistons out by taking the cylinder head off and dropping the sump, but then that's quite a bit of work. You end up with loads of bits and mess everywhere, and then you might find that the crankshaft, all the big end bearing caps on the bottom of the connecting rods are damaged, so you might end up having to replace the engine anyway. Balls might be worn, as we know it's burning a little bit of oil, and it was low on compression on this cylinder when we did the original compression test. Although interestingly, since then I've done a bit more research on compressions, and rather than this one being low, these 4 seem to be quite high, in fact much higher than they should be, so that could indicate a problem with the valves not opening fully to let the cylinder pressure out, which could be worn camshafts, could be sticking valves, could be broken valve springs, it could be a number of things. So I think I'm going to have to try and source a new engine, or a second-hand new engine. There's lots on eBay that are quite a long way away from where I live, so delivery is quite a big factor in the cost. But the biggest worry I've got with that, if you get one and it's just as damaged as this one, or not as good as they say it is, then you've got the problem of having to go get it back to wherever it came from a long way away. There are a couple of breakers yards local to me, which I'm going to have a ring round this week and see if we can source a new engine. But I'm afraid this one, due to lack of maintenance, lack of oil changes, lack of servicing, is toast. I'm just going to check this one more time just to be 1000% sure, and then we'll look for a new engine. So all the way down, all the way up to the top there. That's top dead centre. Let it start dropping a little bit. It goes down. It's probably about enough there. Listen carefully, so I'll try and get that in centre so I don't. Definite click there, a definite click. There should be, obviously should be no play in this at all, so like we've seen on these cylinder 1, cylinder 4, not sure about cylinder 2. I'll just check that a couple more times, because I'm convinced that when I started filming this, it actually made a little click. Listen carefully, see if there's anything in there. Yeah, I think there's a little bit in there. It's not as much, but I'll clean it that time. Yeah, Definitely want to give it a little bit of a thump. Yeah, definitely a click on there. One's definitely okay. Let's just prove it again. Drop it a little bit. Screwdriver in the centre of the piston. Nothing. Two. Can't really feel anything on this one, but you can hear it. Didn't hear it that time, funnily enough, but let's try again. Yeah, a little bit. But this is the one that's bad. Yeah, definitely a knock. Number 4. Solid. Well, there we have it. The Astra engine is, to put it politely, knackered. So a little bit of a surprise. I was convinced it was something to do with the top end, but obviously my garage mechanic was correct. It is the bottom end. Problem with the pistons. Might end up dismantling it at some point. But now the task's on to source another engine. Once we get that, we'll be fitting it. So don't forget to like, share and subscribe below, and I'll catch you in the next one.